So I thought I'd make a different video today and just show you guys some of the chores I'm trying to do in the garden most days. I don't make it out in the garden every day. Some days get a bit too busy with work and family and friends, but I'm trying to increase the amount of vegetables that I'm eating in my diet, and also just the amount of vegetables in general that I can give to people around me. So one of my biggest goals in the garden at the moment is trying to grow the most nutrient dense food I can without compromising too much of my time. So one method in the garden that I'm really excited for is what I'm doing right now, and basically that is just flattening everything that is already growing there. Weeds, flowers, grass, and I think it's probably the laziest way that you can garden that I can think of, which I really like. And the idea behind it is that everything that's growing there stays there, exactly how nature works. So all of that carbon, which is what pretty much everything on Earth is made of, and especially plants, stays on top of the soil and turns into humus, which is the water holding part of the soil, the organic matter, the stuff that makes you need to water less and more nutrient dense food. The only real downsides of doing this method is that you need lots of compost to be able to fully cover the plants, which I think I struggled with later on. Another thing is that it can look a bit untidy if you don't have enough compost once again. So I didn't get a video of me putting the compost on both beds, but it came to around $80 for both beds, so $40 per bed to put the compost on. And I probably could have got a bit more to cover some of those weeds you can see on the left there. And what I'm doing now, like I said before, is trying to maximize my time. So I just bought this soaker hose from Bunnings, and it's actually quite interesting how it works. So basically it's like a regular hose, except it has tiny micro pores that allow water to slowly seep out into the soil, and it can actually cover quite a large area. And I can be a bit of a simpleton sometimes, so I like things nice and easy, which this hose is great. You lay it down and the water slowly comes out. There's no hoses, nozzles or connections. And this hose should save me about 10 minutes of watering per day, about 5 minutes per bed. And in the height of summer, temperatures can range from about 28 degrees to 38 degrees, so it can get pretty extreme. So watering is a really big part of gardening here on the Sunshine Coast in Australia. So I did some math, and the Sunshine Coast has around 132 rainy days on average per year. So if we bump that up to, let's say, 150 days throughout the year that you're not watering, that includes things like holidays or days you might forget, or just days that are overcast and you don't really need to water, you have about 215 days of watering per year, which equates to about 2,150 minutes or 36 hours of watering. So just watering by hand, you are basically spending over a day and a half watering your garden every year. So instead, with this hose, which hopefully works really well, I am completely eliminating that, and that is a really, really good time saver. So I thought I'd include a video here of me and my dad installing a little trellis here on the garden bed. This thing was heavy, very heavy, and we're using some star pickets to hold it in place, and there's me holding it up. And this is gonna really increase the amount of area that we can grow food on. So I'm planning on growing things like cucumbers, tomatoes, and snow peas. So I just bought these seedling trays, which are a very solid plastic, and they're supposed to last really well in the Australian heat. And I believe they're 128 cells, so 128 times 3, it's a lot. And basically the goal with these is to always have seedlings going, so if there's ever an awkward gap in the garden, I can just fill it, and there's always fresh produce to pick. And it sounds really easy, but I'm not really experienced growing seedlings. It seems to me kind of like an art, getting the right ratio of compost and making sure that it's aerated enough. Because you see some seedlings, they just pop off and they grow so healthy, and some seedlings just don't do well at all. So if you guys have had good experience growing seedlings, I would love if you could drop a comment and tell me what your experience has been like, what you've found has worked really well, and how I can improve my garden so there's always food growing. Okay, so I've got my compost here, and it has got a very good structure. I did buy this. And I've also got this sandbag here that we used for a very pathetic cyclone that never actually ended up happening here in Queensland. So I'm just going to mix that in, and that will help with drainage, and it also just helps with the cost because sand will fill that in instead of just using pure compost, which is also very strong for the seeds. A bit of sand really helps to just get that good. Okay, so I've got the seedling mix in those 2 trays, and I decided to leave this tray empty, and this is my forward thinking here. So my plan is, once those 2 seedling trays are in the garden beds, any gaps that pop up, I will use this later to fill those gaps in.
I'm a little bit overwhelmed with actually what to plant because I have so many seeds to choose from. So this is my little collection of seeds. Some different flowers, radish, beetroot, kale, more lettuce, cauliflower, just heaps of different things. And the one thing I've heard in gardening that just keeps coming up, this one word that I've noticed farmers and gardeners keep saying, and the word is diversity. That is the one thing I've noticed that a lot of them say, and they try and mimic that in their garden or their farm to basically make things as diverse as possible. So in the garden, that might be as many different types of vegetables and flowers as you can, which mimics a natural garden. So we'll try this diversity thing while also trying to be efficient.
Okay, so I've had the 2 seedling trays out in the rain overnight, and they are popping up very nicely. It has been raining for the past couple days, and I'm not too sure if they're going to get too wet being out in the rain like this, so I think I'll bring them in just to be safe. We have the cauliflower here popping up very nicely. We've got 2 different types of kale here, so the curly and the Tuscan kale. We've also got poppies here. I put quite a few snow peas in here, but some mice got to them and they basically dug them out and ate them all. So that was a bit sad. I've also got some alyssum over here, a different type of flower. Oh, it's on here somewhere. These are my current little tags. I need a better solution because I realize they disintegrate in the water. The name of this is a Glysophilia, a type of flower. And this one is a chamomile, just come up nicely, and then some lettuce over there as well. And I think what I'm going to do is any gaps that have not popped up at all, so that obviously the snow peas got eaten, those are all strawberries. I think I'm just going to get something like, I've got this lettuce here, this is the other seedling tray ready to go once I plant those. This is the lettuce that you use in burgers at restaurants and whatnot. So I think I'm just gonna cover that over any gaps just to make sure that this thing is as productive as possible, just to get the efficiency going. That's the word of the day today, efficiency. Okay guys, this is crazy. So I've just used ChatGPT to plan out what to plant in my garden, and it made this. That is insane. So it has the dimensions of the garden beds, the width and the length, and what veggies to plant depending on what plants are companions, because some plants grow well together and some don't. And it put it into a table for me. That is just amazing. I don't know how I feel about AI, but that is very helpful. Okay, we're going to start off with the cauliflower first. So I decided to plant all the seedlings closer than recommended, and my thinking behind that is all to do with time saving. So if I have the plants close enough together, the plants almost become the weeds because I don't want to have to be weeding every day. And the problem with, I think, recommended spacing is that they leave a lot of gaps for weeds to actually pop up. I think I might do a really big plot of kale. Instead of doing a big plot of chamomile, I'll do more kale, because kale can be used for lots of things, right? Like kale chips, you can put it in smoothies. And I believe kale actually grows like a perennial, which means that it has more than one growing season. So if I grow it correctly, I'll actually be able to get a lot of kale out of this, hopefully. And it's also a superfood as well. Okay, so I think I'm going to do something a bit different here. I've got two different types of carrots here, both heirloom carrots. And instead of doing nice, neat rows, I'm going to have a crack at just throwing them down, sprinkling them down, and just seeing what pops up to kind of form a nice carrot mat. And the reason for using two different carrots, I just thought it would be fun to see which one does better, and whichever one does better out of the Manchester table or the Châtenay, or maybe it's French, Châtenay red cord, I will keep either one of those and save them for seed. So the strongest will win. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with the beetroot, and once again I've got two different varieties, so Crimson Globe and Cylindra, and this will be the same thing, survival of the fittest.
So I did end up buying a few seedlings from Bunnings just because I didn't have all the seeds available to grow as seedlings, and I just want to make sure that I've got all the soil covered with plants, so I was willing to spend that extra, $30 to make sure I had those seedlings. But seedlings are really expensive. It always amazes me how much they cost.
So now I'm going to plant some snow peas, and I'm hoping that they grow up over this arch either side. And when I bought these, there were some snow peas that grew to about 80 centimeters, which I believe is about that high, roughly. These ones were the biggest ones I could find. These grow to about 1.5 meters. So hopefully they should get up just, I'm about 1.8 meters. So up to my neck, hopefully. But we'll see. And then later on in the summer months, I would love to grow things like cucumber and tomatoes, and they can just hang down. I can just pick them as I walk through. Yeah.
So I came out to the garden this morning and I made this interesting observation. So this garden bed here, where I pulled all of the weeds out before I put the compost on top, doing the lasagna method, so covering everything that's already there like I was saying before, compared to this bed here where I actually left all the weeds there, and as you can see there's quite a few weeds popping up, but everything that was there, and it was quite a lot, got left there and covered in compost. And the thing I noticed is that this bed has many more mushrooms popping up than the other bed, which has 0. And I've just watered the garden, so I've squished them all, but they're popping up all over. There's a few more down there too. And my guess is all of that organic matter that I've left there is feeding all of the fungus and creating a lot of activity in that soil, compared to this one where there was a few weeds, but not nearly as much as that. So if you guys know why that's the case, please drop a comment. And I'm hoping that the bed that has all the weeds left in it is actually going to be more microbially active, which basically means there's going to be more life in here. There's going to be healthier plants. And yes, it does look a bit more messy. There's more weeds popping up, but my goal is just to basically have enough plants growing. Weeds don't actually have a chance to really pop up. So the veggies become the weeds. Thanks for watching, guys. Those are some things that I'm trying to do in my garden every day just to stay consistent and get the garden really efficient and get some nutrient dense food in my backyard that I can eat to stay healthy and to give to loved ones around me. So yeah, follow along for this journey, and thanks for watching.